Today's stories include our review of Silent Hill 2 Remake. Ubisoft is reportedly considering a buyout, and David Hayter is back. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, October 4th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is the tastemaker, Roger Picorni.
Hi. I'm going to whisper the entire episode.
No, you're not. Fucking speak up,
No,
all right?
the fuck you're not.
Put some bass in your fucking voice.
I'm going to do a little bit of a ASMR.
No, because here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
This week I've established,
Oh.
and for a while I've established that I am team audio listener, and I will not have you do that to the audio
When
listeners.
did that change? Because you definitely weren't for a little bit.
No, I've always been an audio listener person. What do you mean?
Remember when we were adamant about Game Showdown being like a video like only series?
Well,
Yeah, but only for that.
That's
Only
my,
for
but
that.
honestly, that's the reason. That's the reason.
And a
Is-
Blessing show as well.
well,
I'm
here's-
just saying the history is
do you know?
stacked
Do you,
against you.
do you
Blessing.
know why I fight for those being video only? Is because I'm not going to subject the audio listeners to something that's not for them. You know what I mean? If we're making an audio show, let's make it a fucking audio show. Get rid of the
Yeah.
fucking smoke machines. Let's
Serious-
make it make sense. No, because that's not a good audio experience. You're just listening and all you hear is in the background. Again, I'm pro audio.
Do you believe in segregation between them?
The audio and the
Equal
video.
but separate.
If we're gonna get these disgusting video people away from audio people, then yes. All right.
Whatever gets done.
I'm protecting the audio community. Roger, where do you stand?
I'm strictly team video. I'm a video editor. If we take away all the video, I have no job. I have nothing. I have nothing to do in my
You
life.
can be an audio editor. People make like
That's
very
lame, bro.
Dude, I used to
That's
love
lame.
my
Half
favorite.
of video editing is audio
That's
editing.
lame,
Roger.
though. No, I took a radio class once where we did like a public radio, and it was fun. But like, I was like cutting up
I
shit.
love public radio.
It was a fun time. Like we learned Pro Tools or whatever,
Yeah.
which was neat. Which was like, and I understand what bouncing like a beat was. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, you have to press the bouncing. But like, I get it now. So like when fucking Nas is like talking about bouncing beats, I get it now. Like I
See,
understand. Nas
don't you
deeper.
like what's the name of that podcast? Dissect? Don't you like Dissect podcasts?
Yeah. Well, I liked the first season. I was like, we're getting too
We're
getting
reaching here.
We're getting
We're
too
reaching,
pretentious.
yeah.
We're getting too pretentious here. Well, what are we gonna do? Break down Blonde? It's like, okay, we get it. Like he's sad. You know what I mean, he's
Yeah.
going through some shit. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair.
And then we start going through all this shit. It's like we don't need to break down every album. And it's always like the most generic albums too. It's like, okay, we're gonna break down Mad Villainy. Okay, sure.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, give me a deep cut, bro. Give me a deep cut.
But
Go
people
deep.
like, what, you want them to break down the fucking third album of an underground artist that
Yeah.
nobody's ever heard of? Nobody's gonna
Exactly.
listen to that podcast.
What are we doing?
You're
was
such a
listening.
hipster, Roger.
Yeah, Roger's a fucking
I'm just
hipster.
saying, like, do we need to break down Flower Boy? I get it.
Yes.
I get
Yes,
it.
Flower Boy's an excellent album.
I mean, I'm
and
not-
people
I'm-
are going to listen to that season of Dissect.
I just don't think we need an entire, 10 hours? 10 hours of breaking that down? I don't
Because
know
it's song by song. You got to break down each song individually. Because Tyler, the creator, works a lot on that album.
Why are you defending Tyler the Creator? He's not here. He's not going to hang out
Because
with
I
you.
love Tyler, the creator.
He's not going to hang out with
Why
you. He's
shouldn't
not
I
gonna hang
defend
out with you.
Tyler, the
I love
creator?
Tyler the Creator. Don't
What
do
has
this.
Tyler, the creator, ever done that's been negative?
Let's restart the podcast.
What
Let's
has he
restart
ever
the
said
podcast. I don't
or
like this
done?
energy. I want to be friends because you're not the one that's holding me back at this company.
You're right.
Other people are holding me back at this company. They're trying to stop me from being on KFGD, being on content in general. And I love our relationship, and I don't want to sour it today.
Okay, first of all, don't lie to me, all right?
I don't want to
You know?
sour it today. I
Don't
want to
lie
hang
me.
out with you, Blessing. Watch Bad Blood with me this
You
weekend.
gotta stop fucking hanging out
Watch-
with Mike because Mike is influencing you because you're saying things that you don't mean now.
I want
wanna
to hang out with
you.
you. Hey,
No,
give me the
you don't
one.
wanna
Give
hang
me the
out with
one.
me.
Give me the one.
Give him the one.
I want to hang out with Blessing Adeoye Jr.
No, he does not.
Every single day,
Remember-
I think about it. I think about how
Roger,
cool it would be to
I
be
was-
invited
Roger,
to some of his cool events.
Roger, I was
I
never
want
gonna
to
bring
play
this up.
tabletop. I want to watch movies
I
with
was
you.
never gonna. I'm having a fucking gaming night tonight. I'm having people over tonight. I'm
I know.
so excited.
I know he is. I
I'm
hear
so
about it, and I'm
excited.
like, wow. Imagine if just a lonely man, a lonely man who
You're
just,
not lonely.
who
You
loves-
you live with your partner.
I can be lonely. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
you have you have Snowbike Mike, and also you have your own friends that you talk about and you hang out with. Wait, what about those?
And
people?
I get invited to neither of the things.
Damn.
We invited you to kickball. I think we invited. Did we invite
No,
you to
you
kickball? Fuck, my bad. My bad, Barry.
Oh, we did.
No,
We
you
should have
did.
been-
You did. You did.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, we should have invited Barry to kickball because he loves baseball. But here's the thing.
I would have taught you about tagging up.
I was never. I was.
Shit. I still don't understand it. I still don't understand
I was
it.
never gonna bring this up, Roger.
Yeah.
But you forced my hand.
Oh,
all right.
no.
Remember when we were going to go to Japan, all right? And we went to Japan.
Yeah.
But in the weeks leading up to going to Japan, you talked about one thing nonstop. You talked about going to Golden Guy. You talked about taking back the night.
No, we're not doing
and
this.
Golden Guy and making it a whole big thing. Oh, we're gonna go to Shinjuku. I think it's in Shinjuku. We're gonna go to Shinjuku. We're gonna take back the night. We're gonna miss the last bus. We're gonna do all these things. And for weeks, I was like, man, I'm gonna get to hang out with my buddy Roger, get drunk. I've never seen Roger drunk. It's gonna be a great time. Do you know what happened? It was either the night before or the morning of, I don't know, times a flat circle. I get a text from Roger. Roger's like, maybe let's not. Maybe let's not.
Maybe
And
not.
it was in that moment where I was like, Roger doesn't want to hang.
Well,
Roger's been hanging out too much with Snowbike.
but here's the thing. I tried to. Oh, shit.
This is proof. Sorry, I came in to fix a camera. This is proof that you are becoming Mike way too much.
No, that's not
because
what
that
happened.
is some Mike
That's
shit.
some Mike shit.
That is like you are leading the plans. You're like, I have a plan. Let's get together. We're gonna take back the night, and then you're the one who bails out. That is Mike Howard to a.
That's not what happened because we did go to Golden Guy. We were on our way to Golden Guy. You forget this. We were on our way. I floated the idea because I started when I was there. I was like, oh shit, I'm having the best of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to experience this. And I'm like, fuck, if I'm hungover the next day, I'm gonna have a whole day where I'm not gonna experience Japan. We're only here for 5 days. So I floated it. You were like, no, we're doing this. I'm like, okay, we're doing this. We go there, torrential downpouring.
It was
and
really-
then
it
I
was
looked at
raining.
you. I was like, what do you want to do? And you're like, your socks are wet. You had no new other socks.
Yeah.
We were fucking freaking out. And you're like, let's just go home. So I tried.
That
I
rain-
attempted.
that
Okay,
rain
bless.
did
That's on you
attempted.
then. That's on you.
attempted.
I take that
That's not
back.
how I remember.
But I
remember
also,
it, you know what I mean?
I still stand by Roger. You're hanging out with Mike too much.
And that's fair. That's fair. But that's what. Here's the thing, Blessing.
Yeah.
What if you and I hung out instead? What if I just?
Here's
What
the
if
thing.
you? What if I can get away from Mike?
Let's say, but if we're gonna hang out, we got to do something about this San Francisco weather because it's fucking hot this week.
Yeah.
Before we get into the Roper report and talk about video game news, I want to talk about just local San Francisco because there's shit going down here. Bear, I sent you a video to Assets. If you can bring this up, it's a report about
thanks,
something
Jess.
last
Let's
night.
talk about the people angle
This is from
of this weather
CBS,
story because
San
a lot
Francisco.
of people were out and are going to be out. Last night, so many people turned up for First Thursdays in downtown.
So they're talking about First
San
Thursdays,
Francisco.
which is an event in San Francisco.
Reed, there was dancing, there was food, there was drinks, lots of entertainment available
Oh.
along 2nd Street. And this is one of
I
those
don't know who
nights
that was.
out
I don't know who that
of
was.
the year
What?
where San Francisco and everyone kind of gets out and about, and you do not have to bundle up in a big jacket to do so.
Well, it was like
They're interviewing people here.
97 when we left at about 4 o'clock. And by the time we got here about 5:20, it was 71 degrees. So, I mean, there was no fog coming over the bridge. It was beautiful.
It's still hot in my apartment. Even at night where it gets a bit cooler, my apartment still retains that heat. It's been nice though because that's been an excuse to get outside. San
Well,
Francisco
organizers
resident
say
is how
they
they how they credit me in this. Would I tell you that last night?
My apartment's so hot. My apartment's so
My
hot.
apartment's hot. It's been so fucking hot.
Now I'm finally going outside.
And
That's so cool.
When I tell you that I was at First Thursday, First Thursday last night, which is like an outdoor event, outdoor fair, like in San Francisco.
Which I've never fucking heard of. That's
I
insane.
didn't hear about it either.
That's crazy.
Legitimately, it was like a last minute
They're
thing.
gentrifying the events in San Francisco. It's crazy.
They're
Roger.
like, let's just steal First Friday from Oakland. A lady came up to me and was like, hey, can I interview you about the heat wave? And I was like, yes,
Yeah.
because I have things to say. I talked for way longer than this.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Where's the rest of my statement?
Release the Blessing Adeoye cut. You know what I mean? I want the entire 5 minutes to be like, it's hot outside.
Dude, I was talking
Why
about
you
everything.
plot me in
I
this
was talking
plot?
about like the sunset on Thursday on Tuesday and how like it was nice to get out of my fucking hot ass apartment so I could just go and see the sunset. I was talking about like, yo, what the fuck is up with having no AC in this city? It's ridiculous. But yeah, CBS News, thank you for giving me the platform.
Yeah, finally.
appreciate
Because
it.
you don't have enough platforms to talk your shit. You know what I mean? You don't have enough places to talk.
My favorite was like when they did this last night, I was just waiting. I was like, when am I gonna get the
You're like-
first tweet from somebody telling me like I saw you on
Did you?
TV?
And I know you thought about this. Did you think about getting like Sling TV to be like, hey, can I watch it?
No, because I forgot. I didn't ask what news network.
Oh.
And so like they're just like, hey, I'm with the news, and I was like, sure. And then they left, and I was like, what if it's Fox News? What if it's one of the networks that I don't like?
What if it's Fox News and they're like, see, like, good thing San Francisco is burning on fire. We fucking hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You could have been adding to their narrative.
They're like, see the global warming, or like they somehow use it as an argument against it. But yeah, I got just a DM from somebody who works at CBS News Bay Area, and they're like, yo, I just saw you. Like, what the fuck? And so yeah, shout out to my guy William over there for sending this to me. Appreciate you, William.
That's huge. That's huge. That's beautiful. Congratulations. You're big time now.
I am get out of here. Roger, let's get into video game news. Remember, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. I don't know why.
What's with the giggles? What do you think?
Now I'm just thinking of like the ways that Fox News could spin it.
Yeah.
And it's like, see, they are eating the pets. And it's just a picture of me. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm just out here. I'm just talking about the heat. It's hot out here. Housekeeping for you. We're an 11-person business all about live talk shows. Today, after Kind of Funny Games Daily, you're going to get GAMESCAST, which is our Diablo Vessel of Hatred review. And then after that is the stream, which is Zoochosis with Mike and Nick. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Gregway, and you can get Joker Folie Deux in review this afternoon and tomorrow on YouTube and podcast services. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining and Carl Jacobs. Today we're brought to you by New World Aeternum and Shady Rays, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report.
Oh.
It's time for some news. We have 6 stories today.
Oh, it's a baker's dozen.
Santa Claus.
Wow. Santa Claus.
Santa Claus wrote that.
See, I was getting more like a Goofy.
Yeah, I was getting like a Southern Goofy
Yeah,
vibe.
See,
like
my Santa
Goofy
Claus
Claus.
is goofy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Barrett, who's that?
That was Brett Hunter.
Thank you so much, Brett Hunter. We're going to start off with story number 1. It's going to be our Silent Hill 2 review. Roger's played it. Roger's beaten it. Roger's going to talk about it. But before you do, I want to bring in a few reviews for our review roundup here. Right now, it is sitting at a Metacritic of 87. It's sitting at an OpenCritic of 88. Tristan Ogilvie at IGN gave the game an 8 out of 10 and says Silent Hill 2 is a welcome modernization of a survival horror masterpiece. It smoothly polishes down the rough edges of the original game's combat while taking a piece of heavy grit sandpaper to scuff up every rust and mold-covered surface of its nightmarish environments, successfully making them appear far more abrasive and menacing to explore. Previously primitive boss battles have been transformed into substantially more intense encounters, and its intimidating audio design kept me acutely aware that every fog-cloaked street I walked down could quickly hurry me towards my own dead end. It does feel a little padded out in parts, and I do wish that Bloober Team had streamlined some of its more convoluted puzzle sections to prevent the story's momentum from sagging on occasion. Still, intermittent pacing problems aside, Silent Hill 2 is a great way to visit or revisit one of the most dread-inducing destinations in the history of survival horror. And then Vicky Blake at Eurogamer gave it a 5 out of 5 and says, against all odds, Bloober Team has delivered a remake that both expands Silent Hill 2 in just the right places and gives careful attention to what it preserves. Roger,
Hi.
how did you enjoy or not enjoy Silent Hill 2?
Yeah, before I get into my actual thoughts on the game, I want to give the little preamble of my history with Silent Hill 2, right? Because this is a remake. I've never played any of the Silent Hill games before. It's a big question mark in my gaming history. I've watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of it on G4. They would talk about Silent Hill 2 a lot for some reason. So I know a lot about parts of the game, but I've never played it. And I've been on a survival horror kick lately. I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil 2 Remake, 4, 7, 8, Alan Wake 2, Crow Country earlier this year. So like this is the perfect time to get into this. And I was a little bit like, oh man, the trailers didn't really hit for me, right? Like it looked a little weird, not the graphics necessarily, but just it was like is this?
I think a lot of us like were hit by the trailers that way, at least by the early trailers.
Yeah, the early ones.
When you saw the first trailer, when I saw the first trailers, I was like, oh, this doesn't look right for some reason. And then I forget what the most recent thing was. It was probably the State of Play where we saw a trailer, and I was like, okay, this is looking better than what I. And Barrett is in the background saying previews are great too. But continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was like hesitant, but I was like, you know what, spooky time. Gotta start spooky season right. Let's start it up. And completely fell in love with this game. This is a 9 out of 10. This is an amazing video game. I am so happy with my experience. It started off rough in the first 3 hours of the game. I was like half in, half out. I think that was just because some of the technical nature of the first 3 hours with the fog I didn't necessarily love. We can get into that later, but as a whole, this game is a pure nightmare simulator. And I mean that in the most literal way possible. Now, let me get into what nightmares mean for me, because I feel like sometimes we talk about nightmares in video games. You're like, oh, well, every horror game's a nightmare simulator, right? Because it's zombies, right?
Yeah.
A nightmare to me is... it's the dream element of a nightmare, right? Where you're going through something and you don't know why you're doing it, but you're so focused on doing it. And then you wake up and you're like, I did all this crazy shit and I didn't really think about it, right? Like I didn't think about, how to get out or the ways out of it. Silent Hill 2 is able to capture that feeling so deeply, right? Where you're just going through this horrific situation and you have so much purpose and guidance, and you're like, I'm just going to do this thing, and I'm going deeper and I'm going deeper. And the story just really hit for me, right? Like the story was so emotional, and it was almost like a Trojan horse of sense, right? Like this game, if you squint your eyes, you might be like, man, this looks like Resident Evil 4, right? You see the guy with the hair, you're like, this might be Leon Kennedy. I don't know. Like it's the over-the-shoulder, third-person action survival horror game that we've kind of been used to in the last generation or so. But the story is just so much more, I would say, disturbing and so much more of a slow burn than I think the Resident Evil games, right? Like you're not going to get the massive jump scares that I think you're looking for from Resident Evils or any of those games. You're going to get some of those, but mostly it was just this dreadful feeling that I had in the pit of my stomach throughout the entire game. And it's a vibe. Like my entire experience with it was just so unique and special, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I was super happy with it.
What would you say were the most, for you, somebody who this is your first Silent Hill game, what were the most unexpected things for you that ended up hitting for you?
So the thing that didn't hit for me, which I was surprised about, was Pyramid Head, right? Like I expected Pyramid Head to be like this big scary thing, and I think the issue was, real talk, everybody, I played Astrobot before this. So I was like,
you saw him, you were like,
I was like,
"You
I can't be scared of this guy.
You've been an Astrobot. You can't be scary.
I think it's I don't think it's Pyramid Head didn't scare me. Pyramid Head didn't scare me as much. But the thing that did blow my mind was how Alan Wake 2 it was in a lot of ways, right?
Okay.
Like it is mind bending. Like you go through areas and then you turn around and then you jump through a hole and then, oh shit, that whole area is now completely different, but it's the same. And it was just blowing my mind every single moment. I think that was the biggest surprise, because I thought this was going to be a straightforward horror game, right? I thought we're just going to go and spooky things were going to happen, and I thought it was going to be mostly with the fog, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought it was going to be outside, because everyone always says like, oh, it's like Silent Hill. Like the amount of times that I've lived in Daly City and someone's like, oh, it's like Silent Hill outside. It's like most of this game is not outside. Like that's the beginning portion and some of the later portions, but most of the game is inside and in these almost like Saw-like disturbing, disgusting areas where like there's mold and bugs, and it was something that was really visually impressive, especially playing it on HDR TV. That's the way to play it. I mean, this game gets so dark, like physically so dark. And the good part about it in terms of like them trying to find that balance, right? Because if you look at the trailers, the game has a very almost... comparatively to the original game, has a less desaturated look. Like the original game is very desaturated, especially with the fog. The game has like a little bit of a vignette. So they have two different modes. They have a regular mode, which you see in the trailers, and they have a 90s mode, which adds desaturation and a vignette around the screen, which is nice. And it is mostly the way that I played this game, because it did feel like it was hearkening back to that original game, and it kind of smoothed out some of the rough edges that I had with the colors and the way that the game was just kind of built out. But I do think that, especially when I got into like the buildings and when it got really dark, that vignette started to make the game even harder to play, so I had to turn it off and turn it on a few times. But it was a welcome addition. I do wish eventually they will add a mode where I can like adjust some of that, but that's a very small complaint in the general aspect of it, because this game is easily one of my game of the years.
Wow.
Like it has to be. Like I was so moved by this, and I immediately went into the lore videos. Like I immediately went deep into like, I need to understand what they're talking about. I need to actually understand what Silent Hill 1 was, because that's the funny part about this. I was like, why did they do 2? Like, isn't Silent Hill 1, like, why wouldn't you start with 1? I'm like, after playing this game, this is a very singular experience, and I am interested to see what Silent Hill F is. Like, I'm interested to see what this franchise is. It is funny that they started, of course, with Ascension, right? Which was like kind of like the big, like, hey, we're back, Silent Hill's back, which was a misstep in a lot of ways. Silent Hill 2, I think, is going to get a lot of people like me into this franchise. And I'm excited to see what Konami has up their sleeves.
Of course, if you have questions about Silent Hill 2 and Roger's time with it, you can super chat in, let us know your questions. We'll get them asked. My question, again, as somebody who I'm like you, where Silent Hill was never a series that I touched, but I always heard about. You know, I would hear people talk about the freakiness of Silent Hill, the eeriness and all of Silent Hill, and there was something about, I think, the energy that those games radiated for me as somebody who didn't play them that seemed a bit more, I guess, just on the scarier side compared to something like Resident Evil, where Resident Evil, you know, nowadays I played most, if not all, of like the modern ones, all the ones that I've released in the last 6-7 years, right? I've been playing through them, and I almost equate Resident Evil to more of like a, you know, blockbuster. I'm gonna, you know, go to the theater, pick up some popcorn. I'm not gonna have nightmares about Resident Evil, but like there are gonna be the jump scares that are exciting, right? There is gonna be the action that is fun. There is gonna be like the X factor of like a Mr. X, or, you know, the oh man, the fucking, I forget what they're called, the lickers or whatever on the ceilings. Oh shit, like, you know, the scares in Resident Evil are very like, you know, front facing in a way where I'm not leaving like, oh man, my soul's changed. I'm leaving like, oh, that was a fun roller coaster ride. How would you compare Silent Hill to compared to Resident Evil in that way, just tonally? Is it a bit more deeper in like the scares and the story?
Yeah, it's, I mean, of course you're gonna have there's these freaky mannequin guys that are gonna be in the corners that you're gonna be like, oh shit, didn't realize they were there. So you're gonna have like those initial jump scares, but the scares that I think about in this game in that comparison are more, there was a moment, I don't want to spoil it for anybody because it is one small moment and it doesn't really happen ever in the game. What the people that played the original games, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a scare where something happens in the game. There is a sound effect, there's a voice in the game that I truly thought was happening in real life. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of PT, which of course is Silent Hills, whatever, but like it rocked me. And I like got scared and my hands clammed up and I dropped the controller and I recorded it and I had to like download the video and make sure that I heard that and that wasn't like in real life. Like it is more visceral to me, but the fears that I had were less like, oh shit, I'm scared. It's just more like, oh, I feel sick. Like I feel sick once I started to realize what the story was and where they were taking me, where the themes of all of the enemies are. And like, that's the cool thing about this is that the characters and the enemies are reflections of the story and James's story, right? Going back to the nightmare, right, element of it, right? Like it is not just, oh, these are, you know, pyramid heads here and he just whatever. Like no, these are reflections of his own story. And once you realize that, you start to go deeper into what this game might mean. And I would equate it more to like, I was blown away when I was playing this. It's like this fucking A24 or Neon or somebody needs to get the rights to this franchise and make a Silent Hill 2 movie, because you can kind of one for one make this and it would be an incredible film. It would be a movie that would scare you, but also like move you and make you sad and cry, because I was tearing up by the end of this game. I couldn't believe what they were able to pull off. So yeah, I'm interested to see what the future is of Silent Hill, because I played this and I felt very singular, and I'm excited for potentially Silent Hill F or whatever, but this did feel like a one-off. You know what I mean? It felt like this is I know that there's lore, I know that there's a lot of things to get deeper into, but I was like, wow, I'm happy that I experienced this with James, with, you know, the cast of characters that I had, and I don't know how much more I would want, but I'm interested in.
Did it feel like a PS5 game? Like this being a remake, did you have moments where you're like, oh, this is clearly something from the PS2 era?
No. Honestly, if you told me that this was fully a remake in the sense that, or reimagining, right? Like they just threw out everything, they just redid everything, I would believe you. Like I don't think there was any moment throughout this game where I was like, oh wow, this is an old janky mechanic that they had that they've removed. There were some moments where I was like, oh, that's a cool thing that they brought back from the PS2, like the save feature and stuff. Like I could tell like there were certain things I was like, oh, you added on, you had this in the original game and you added upon it, and it's really cool in this, and it has this nice flair. One thing I want to talk about is the combat, which was fine, right? Like that was not like, I don't know, man. Like we can have this conversation, because like I don't think I've ever played a survival horror game that I love the combat in. Like just end period. Like maybe closest would be Resident Evil 4, but like I never really fell in love with it, right? Alan Wake 2, I fucking think that game's a masterpiece. I dropped that game to easy and I was like, I don't want to play this combat. Like I don't care about this combat. That doesn't take away from my enjoyment of this game at all. Like it was the story. I'm looking for the roller coaster. I'm looking for the emotions. I'm looking for the atmosphere. So
how would you describe the is it like you're managing bullets, you have 5 bullets to take out the thing? Exactly.
Yeah. It's exactly what you said right there. It's a Resident Evil, it's an Alan Wake. It's just a generic survival horror game. it doesn't do anything bad. It doesn't do anything great. There are some moments of jank that I think were kind of annoying, especially when you get into like tighter corridors where they start putting enemies and you're swinging and the camera starts bugging out a little bit. Very small amount of times that happens. You're usually in wider corridors, so it's not an issue. Sometimes there's a freaky little guy crawling on the floor and you're trying to hit him and then it just won't do it because it keeps on missing for some reason. So there's small levels of jank, but nothing that I would say is noteworthy to take away from my score here, because at the end of the day, I'm not looking for the combat. I'm not somebody that is like, man, I'm going for survival horror for the excellent, tight twitch gameplay. Like, no, I want
not the end all be all.
Yeah, and I also kind of want it to feel a little janky at the end of the day, because that's kind of the fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're shooting and then you miss and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right, but that is the fun of it all. So yeah, it's nothing to write home about, but it's nothing great either. But as a whole, like, this whole package is something you need to try out. If you haven't played Silent Hill before, like me, try it out. And it seems like a lot of people that reviewed this game also played Silent Hill 2, the original one, and enjoyed it as well. So, I mean, this is a huge win for Bloober. Like, I've never played the medium, honestly. Made me want to play the medium.
Oh man, I might need to go back and check out that medium.
But I gotta play the medium now. I gotta play the medium. What if I'm the medium?
Super chats for you. I don't want to read this one from Jake because it seems like it's maybe leaning into like spoiler stuff. But shout out Jake Eisman. I see your super chat. Thank you. And then Yang Fam writes in with a birthday tax and says kind of funny rocks. Thank you so much, Yang Fam. And then one more from Samson L. Again, not related to Silent Hill, but says, my fiance and I are getting married tomorrow, and we love watching Game Showdown week to week. Thank you for being part of our lives, KF crew. Also, shout out to all my Canadian kind of funny best friends like Sir Dr. JM. Congratulations, Samson.
Hey.
I'm getting married.
Congratulations.
Very, very, very
That's awesome.
exciting. Any final thoughts? on Silent Hill?
I hope that people at Kind of Funny are able to play it, right? Like, I don't know if you're interested. Are you interested at all?
Dude, I was so definitively not interested, and now I am super interested just based on what you talked about.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting because I was kind of happy with the fact of, man, I have too many games, and so the more I can scrape off my plate, the better. But now I'm like, damn, you're making Silent Hill 2 sound like something I should play.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't even think I asked for a code. Like, that's how much I was like, no, I'm just gonna skip this thing. But I don't know. We'll see. It's on my radar now. Especially seeing that it seems like industry wide people really, really are digging Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
And it's a classic, right? Like, it's one that I've always have been curious about just based on how much it stood the test of time over the years of remaining in people's minds, right? Remaining in if you're talking about survival horror, you're talking about like Silent Hill 2 has to be in the conversation, or Silent Hill is a franchise, has to be in the conversation, right? I know, I've seen Pyramid Head. I know who that is as a character. I see him on Astrobot, right? Like, there's so many things that Silent Hill has that has like infiltrated the culture in like a wider way that I almost feel like it's part of me doing a history lesson more than anything of, oh man, I know this is important. Maybe I should check it out for that.
And that's the coolest part. It was like when I did the history lesson, I realized like I couldn't believe that this game existed on the PS2, right? Like of course I don't know what the differences are, or yada yada yada, but the story, right? Like the story is just so good and like completely blew me away. I'm being so weird about this, guys, because I don't want to spoil anything, but man, that ending of the game was fucking mind-blowing. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope everybody at Kind of Funny is able to play it, because, man, that's going to be on my Game of the Year list for sure.
Bear, are you scared, or what's stopping you?
I fucking hate horror games. That's just people think that I'm still like putting too much stock into the trailers. Like, we have to admit, those first trailers sucked. Those were not good
we can
trailers.
objectively go, hey, those first trailers, whack, did not do justice to the game.
And it seems like an earlier not good build of the game to show off to the public. Obviously, since then, a lot of traction has gained. Alan Wake 2, I felt like was my threshold, and a good amount of that game I had to play with friend of the show Ari, who just conveniently was in town the time that I was playing Alan Wake 2. So like, yeah, that's gonna be a no from me, dog. And same for Andy.
I wonder, man. I know we did our weekly meeting yesterday. We went through our schedule, and our schedule's still packed. I would love to like stream that game.
Yeah,
that seems like the way. If I'm gonna find the time to play it, like that would be the way I'd make time. But that seems like I would assume that's a great way to play that kind of game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's about 15, 16 hours. So yeah, I feel you can make
the
that
worst,
not the worst. Not the worst, not the best.
Not the worst, it was like, man, I was hoping you'd say 9. You know what I mean? Extra 6 hours. Might as well told me it was 50 hours. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
But no, we'll see. I kind of want to make time for it now.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah, hope Greg plays it too.
Roger, we got to talk about Ubisoft and what's going on over there. But before we do, I want to talk to you about patreon.com/kindoffunny and youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, where you can get the Kind of Funny membership, which allows you to get shows ad-free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by New World Eternum. New World Eternum is a thrilling action RPG experience for console and PC players with a vibrant world, vast and beautiful setting, dynamic real-time action combat, and the freedom for players to choose how to forge their destiny. Combat is skill-based and dynamic, incorporating swords, guns, and sorcery so that you can build one character to rule them all as you explore Eternum and unravel the mysteries of the supernatural island that you can't leave. You love playing RPGs alone? You can in New World Eternum, or play cooperatively with your friends as you complete quests, get better gear, and level up. Greg played this at Summer Game Fest on PlayStation 5 and was caught off guard by how much he enjoyed it and how many hours he said he could see himself sinking into the final product. There's boss fights, cool enemies, crossplay, resource gathering, and crafting. So yeah, this sounds like a Greg game. Pre-order New World Eternum now on PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X or S to get the Azoth Stalker Wolf mount and prepare for launch on October 15th.
This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know Tim has been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and he's having a great experience wearing Shady Rays when he's out and about looking dope. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. That's shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades.
And
Sorry.
we're back.
So, I know this won't make sense for the ad-free viewers later on, but chat reacting to Roger's ad read where someone said, that shirt is crazy.
Well, the funny part is you don't know the rest of the shirt. You know what I mean? You don't know the rest of the shirt.
It just says my mom on the top, and it's like almost looks like a metal album cover on the shirt.
It's fire, dude.
Sick.
I love my mom.
I want to shout out a few more super chats. Dear Six, or let's start off with George, actually. George Corona III says, Silent Hill 2 is such a hugely influential game for horror fans. See Alan Wake 2. Yeah. My personal all-time fave. Hearing these reviews is such a relief. Can't wait. Dear Six says, Bless, is there a new kind of Feudy poll coming? Not super soon, but also probably not super far away. The thing, I know I used to post kind of Feudy polls more often. The thing is, once we started doing Game Showdown, kind of Feudies happened less often, which means I get way more mileage out of one poll. Especially in season 2 of Game Showdown, where like instead of every other episode, kind of Feudy is now like probably every 3 episodes or so. Legitimately, I get so much mileage, which is nice because it's less work for me on the kind of Feudy front. But I am getting toward the end of the results for the previous poll, and so yeah, look out for one, but not super soon. And then we got one more from Kevin N, who writes in and says, Roger, Carolyn Polachek is on Brat Remix album.
I haven't been able to find the source of that, so I will continue to look for it, but I don't think you're lying to me, and that's very exciting. That's very exciting. They've collabed before. That's exciting.
Story number 2. Tencent and Guillemot family said to consider buyout of Ubisoft. This is from, I know it's from Bloomberg. I forgot to write down who wrote it. It's not Jason Schreier. It's like I'm
on it.
Thank you. Barrett's looking it up. It's a group of people from Bloomberg that worked on this one. Tencent and Ubisoft founding Guillemot family are considering options, including a potential buyout of the French video game developer after it lost more than half its market value this year, according to people familiar with the matter. The Chinese tech company and Guillemot Brothers Limited have been speaking with advisors to help explore ways to stabilize Ubisoft and bolster its value, the people said, asked not to be identified, discussing a private matter. One of the possibilities being discussed would involve teaming up to take the company private, according to the people. Ubisoft shares rose as much as 33% in Paris on Friday following the Bloomberg News report, the steepest gain since the company's 1996 initial public offering. Shares of Ubisoft have fallen about 40% this year, giving the company a market capitalization of about 1.8 billion euros or $2 billion. Tencent owned 9.2% of Ubisoft's net voting rights at the end of April, while the Guillemot family held about 20.5%, according to the firm's latest annual report. Some minority shareholders, including AJ Investments, have been pushing for either a take private or a sale of Ubisoft to a strategic investor amid the stock price plunge. Considerations are at an early stage, and there's no certainty they will lead to a transaction. Tencent and Guillemot family are also considering other alternatives, according to the People. Spokespeople for Ubisoft and the Guillemot family declined to comment. A representative for Tencent couldn't immediately comment during a holiday week in China. And thank you, Barrett. This was written by Vinici Chan, Dong Chao, and Benoit Berthelot.
It took me that took a lot more to get those names because Bloomberg keeps cutting off because I'm not subscribed. So I was just trying to like quickly get into the story, copy, and then like get out of there. So yeah.
I'm not trying to like put people onto this because I don't want them to fix this. But every now and then I'll go to a Bloomberg article and it's just I can read the full thing and I'm like, okay, cool. It's a good day today. I can copy this over for KFGD.
They whitelisted your computer.
There's like a 50% chance that I'll be able to read the Bloomberg article. Don't fix it, Bloomberg.
Please never fix this.
Maybe I am paying for Bloomberg because I think I paid for it one time, but I could have sworn I canceled after. Maybe I'm still paying for it. If I am, it's worth it.
It turns out the other 50% of the time when you can't get in, you're just logged out of your Bloomberg account.
I mean, that might be it. But either way, I should be expensing that to the company, because I'm using it for this show.
Yeah, exactly. That's important.
Interesting stuff. This is for me like the such an inevitability.
Yeah,
I've been wondering when this is going to happen for like the last maybe a few years.
I mean, we've been waiting for this since the Vivendi was going to hostile take over Ubisoft, and they're like, no, we don't want you to do that. Please stop them. And they got up on stage and like, everyone's trying to hurt us. Please stop them. Please stop them. So now it's happening. So I'm interested with this part of it is the Guillemot family. What is that? I just know Yves. Like, does he has a whole family?
His family. It's his family that has the stake in Ubisoft.
Interesting.
But Yves is like acting as the CEO.
Interesting.
Yeah. But like Ubisoft has been like this family owned.
See, business. I didn't know that aspect of it because I've always been waiting. Like, when's Yves going? Right? Like, when is he getting it? I mean, never. Right? If his family owns 30% of it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I could still see him stepping down as CEO and just still being part of that stake that owns the company, but being like, yo, I'm tired of the CEO shit, or people really don't like me as CEO, I'm just gonna step down or whatever, right? I could see that happening, or I can see them, like selling the company and having that go that route, right? And like having leadership change because let's say if you sold it to Xbox or whatever, maybe those people get replaced and get shuffled around in the way that we see Bobby Kotick leave Activision. I know that's a whole ordeal because of who Bobby Kotick is and what he's done, but there are so many options here on the table as far as I think how this could go. And yeah, to your point about we saw shades of this during the whole Vivendi takeover thing, and Ubisoft fought tooth and nail, and Ubisoft during that era kind of locked in. Yeah. They were kind of like, all right, we got to start releasing hits. We got to start like, acting right and, fight off this takeover. Right now, I feel like the last few years of Ubisoft have been the exact opposite of locking in, right? Like the year by year, I'm like, man, when are y'all gonna sell?
But it's the I can see on paper for them, this is their locking in, right? They got an Avatar game, they got a Star Wars game, they got a Prince of Persia game that's gonna be for the nerds, but it's like bring back a franchise that people know. We got a Splinter Cell in the works. We got Assassin's Creed. It's finally going to Japan. Like, this is locking in for them. Yeah. It's just not locking in for the consumer, right? Like, it didn't hit for us, right? It didn't hit for Outlaws only selling 1 million copies, which is insane.
Allegedly,
right? Like,
but yes.
Allegedly, yes. But yeah, that's an insanely low number for a Star Wars game, right? And then we have Shadows being delayed out of this year, Avatar not hitting where they
Avatar
wanted.
seemingly I've either forgotten or like chat, you can correct me, right? Like, have they talked about the Avatar numbers? Was that in? I assume maybe they discussed it in their.
I mean, it clearly didn't blow
year.
the world, up, right? Like, it wasn't like the movies, right? It wasn't like everybody and their mama got this Avatar game. Like, no, it was just like, oh, it seems like a game that came out and some people bought it, some people didn't, right? So I think they were banking on that one also being something that everyone got during Christmas time, and I don't think that necessarily happened.
My view is, I think this year, and I was talking about this earlier this year of, hey, this year is Ubisoft locking in. You got the Assassin's Creed taking place in Japan, and you have a Star Wars open world action game. These two things for you are, if I am Ubisoft and I'm like, hey, we need to figure out how to make money, these are the decisions you make. You're like, hey, Star Wars, Assassin's Creed, focus in on both and make those the big projects of the year and market the fuck out of those. it seems like Star Wars isn't the home run hit in sales that they're needing it to be. And yeah, Assassin's Creed getting delayed into February, still within the fiscal year. Like, we'll see how that pans out and all that. But I am like, man, I don't know if that's going to be enough to make up for Star Wars, to make up for
X-Defiant.
X-Defiant and Prince of Persia.
Was that this year?
Yeah, X-Defiant was earlier this year.
Christ.
Also, there's that Marvel game.
Never forget the Marvel
the
game.
multiplayer Marvel.
Not the Marvel game, the Marble game.
the multiplayer thing. That again, Mike was like, "Hey, there's a new Ubisoft game," and me and Andy are like, "What? Like, when did they announce this?" I don't know if all that's gonna make up for Roller Champions and like Rainbow Six Extraction and like the list goes on of random ass Ubisoft games that have come out.
The Crew,
which I do wonder how the Crew does in numbers,
Yeah.
because the Crew is what I'm like. I'm sure the Crew. I would assume maybe the Crew did fine.
Yeah.
But again, none of these are knockout home runs. I'm not looking at the Crew like, oh, obviously one of the best selling games of the year, right? Like, I think a company at the size of Ubisoft, you need some surefire wins, and I think even their surefire things aren't performing for them the way that they would expect them to.
Yeah.
Which is leading us down this year by year thing of when does the dam break of enough is enough? We can't handle this anymore. Of games not living up, because after this year, what's going to be the 2025 hits after Assassin's Creed Shadows?
And it hits. Like you may get a Splinter Cell. That's not gonna be a hit, right? Like, is that actually gonna be the hit that saves Ubisoft? Probably not.
And Lanky Dragoon in chat says the Crew series is near 10 million copies sold.
That's 3 games.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm asking more so Crew Motorfest, the last one, because like again, I think Ubisoft in 2015 different from Ubisoft in 2024, right? Like, I think we're in 2 different eras right now, and the current era is scaring me. Ever since Ghost Recon Breakpoint and how that didn't do well, and like the conversations they had after that of, hey, let's pause, let's take a moment, let's reassess. That reassessment, I don't know if it's paying off yet, and I feel like we're in the place where it should be paying off by now.
Yeah, and I am so interested in this, right? Because of course, corporate consolidation in general sucks. Tencent buying everything sucks. Does this lead to Ubisoft being able to create better games? Not being public, being able to be private, but I don't think it's going to lead to that, right? I don't think this is going to lead to a renaissance of Ubisoft, right? Like, especially with Tencent right there, right? If Tencent potentially, I don't know if they're going to own the company, if they're going to have 50% of it,
increase their stock,
if they're going to have 51% or whatever it is, like a Tencent-owned Ubisoft is even worse. I feel like you're not even going to get those swings of a Splinter Cell. Like, I don't think you're going to get that. I don't think they're going to do that.
I'm so fascinated because I think I could see it going in many different directions. One of the directions I see, I don't know if it would be an Xbox or a PlayStation. It could be, but I could see a bigger company, swallowing up Ubisoft, and it being a thing of, hey, we are refining your output. You are going to be the Assassin's Creed. I mean, maybe Star Wars. We continue with like the Star Wars license, right? Assassin's Creed, Star Wars. And then, Far Cry, like the biggest titles, and we are going to try and hone those in. We might change up your release schedule. But I think there was a big redefinition of Ubisoft that is bound to happen, and that is going to happen once they probably get acquired. I think of it in the way that, I forget what company it was. I guess maybe we're talking about like Bethesda, for example, of, we've seen layoffs, studio closures within Bethesda, when we're talking about like Arcane Austin, right? Things like that. After the Xbox acquisition. And one of the conversations we have here, I believe it was with Tim that I've had this conversation on KFGD, was about how like it's very clear that Xbox had an idea of what they wanted out of Bethesda, and they just didn't fit the equation. I think that's bound to happen with Ubisoft, where somebody's going to buy Ubisoft and go, all right, we bought Ubisoft for Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and like maybe 1 or 2, Tom Clancy. Like, we bought Ubisoft for those 3 things, maybe Just Dance, but Just Dance in there too. Everything else, we're going to cut off, and we're going to start laying off these teams, laying off these studios, and leaning up so that we can have Ubisoft just focus on these things and hopefully feed in a bit more budget to make sure that Assassin's Creed is a hit. That's the only way I really see this going. And I don't love that. I also don't know if there's another option.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because I feel like the problem with Ubisoft is almost fundamental, right? Like, it is the misconception in the PS3 going into the PS4 generations of oh, people are going to want this forever.
Yeah.
Like, let's build the entirety of our studios on the premise that people are going to want Assassin's Creeds the way that they've been forever. They're going to want Watch Dogs like this forever. Like, they kind of built this, and now we're at the point now, you're making an Avatar game. It's just a Far Cry game. Like, I can't pinpoint a Ubisoft game that has actually broken the mold. Can you?
In the last how long?
5 years? 6 years? I can't. A AAA one that isn't like Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Like, that has broken
A
the mold.
AAA one? No.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and the consumer is becoming wise to it. We see the videos, you see the moist critical videos of like, what, it was just another Ubisoft thing. Like, it's a running joke at this point. And I know that is the hardcore locked in audience. I know that there are people that are picking up the Far Cry games that want that comfort food, but you need to have the ability to be like, oh no, we can do this. And also we can make like a PlayStation Studios. We're fucking putting budget into this and it feels premium. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's good, but it's also Ubisoft jank. Like,
Yeah.
it needs to feel premium. And I don't know. I don't think that the Tencent acquisition allows that even, because then I think they're going to be even pumping out even more wild things. Like, I think there's going to be more online chances.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to be feeding into it. You're not going to get like the marble game or whatever. You're not going to get the marble games,
Yeah.
but you're going to have them making like 4 different Ghost Recons and trying to see if something sticks or whatever. I don't know.
Barrett, what's up?
It's a little bit of stagnation, but it's also hard to name things from the last 5 years that have broken the mold because they barely put anything out. Like, after Valhalla, it was like they were quiet. And then it was like that one year where like Mario plus Rabbids 2 was the only game that they had put out that year. Like, they have just been on a struggle bus in a lot of different aspects.
And I think that was the like post Ghost Recon Breakpoint year. Like, there was a call or like some kind of like, discussion they had that was, hey, after seeing how Ghost Recon did, Breakpoint specifically did, which was not good, we're delaying they had delay. It was like when Gods and Monsters, or when Immortals Phoenix Rising was still Gods and Monsters. They're like, we're delaying this indefinitely. Like, we're delaying everything. And, like, there was a bit of a silence there, and then like stuff started to come out. But yeah, like, I know a lot of people in chat were also mentioning Division, which again, like Division, I know it feels recent, but what, Division 1 was 2017? 2018? Like, within the last 5 years, like Division 2, don't get me wrong, Division 2, fire. I really like Division 2. But even that, like, I wouldn't describe Division 2 as breaking the mold. I would describe that as just being more Division 1. And I think they caught something with Division, but where's the next Division, right? Like they had the I forget what happened, because there's multiple Division projects that have been announced, and I believe one of them has been canceled.
Yeah.
I think it was the one that Greg
The
might have been
mobile
looking
game is
forward to.
coming out, right? And the
But the
free-to-play
game was canceled?
I believe so.
Division Heartland. Division's in a weird place where that would be one of the ones I'd point to as like, oh no, y'all are killing it with this. But
yeah, same thing with Watch Dogs. Like, Watch Dogs had a moment where it's like no one really loved the first one. People liked the second one a lot. You make the third one, people immediately forget about it, and then we're like, we're never doing that again. They're making these franchises, they're killing them, and then they're sticking way too close to the fundamentals. And I am very pessimistic about the story.
Because my thing with Ubisoft too is I don't think it's the fact that they're not taking swings necessarily, because I think they are. I would constitute like a lot of those smaller games, like again, Roller Champions. Nobody else is making a game like Roller Champions. Like, the problem with Roller Champions was just that it wasn't supported at all. Like, I played that game first week and I was like, oh, it's pretty fun. And then I don't even think I heard from Ubisoft anything that came to that game afterwards. And it's like, you need more than this. Like, you can't just make the unique thing. You got to put some oomph behind it, right? Like, I look at a game like Knockout City, which we loved, and Knockout City was full of life. It was filled with content. It had like the core gameplay was super solid, and it felt like there was a community studio like pipeline of feedback, right? We would hear from the studio of, hey, this is what we're bringing. Hey, here are the updates. Hey, we're partnering with Ninja Turtles. We're doing this. We're doing that. And even Knockout City, which is a game that I hold up, I love, I propped up, I use an example of something that I love, also wasn't had to go away after a few years, right? Like, they weren't able to sustain that for a very long time.
Yeah, and really quick, the Prince of Persia of it all, right? Like, that's a game that came out this year, has support, has a community. It's a smaller community. I don't think it sold as well as they wanted to, or whatever it was. Like, I know that they're going to continue to take the wrong lessons from that, right? Like, that's the right direction to go down. Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe it wasn't the right placement, whatever it was. But that's a game that people really loved and people really enjoyed, and actually brought back goodwill in the beginning of the year for Ubisoft. Remember the beginning of the year? It's like, fuck. this could be the year. This actually, it feels like Xbox every year. It's like, this could be the year. What if this is the year for Ubisoft? And I know they're going to take the wrong decisions from that, the wrong lessons from that, and probably never make another game like it. And you're just going to keep on getting the same thing with Tencent.
Yeah, I don't think this goes so many ways. My prediction is that it's not even a Tencent raises their stake to 51% or whatever and just gains full control. I think legitimately they sell to somebody, like maybe I forget if it was rumored or this is a thing of like Disney. I could see a Ubisoft owned a Disney owned Ubisoft, a Ubisoft owned Disney. EA?
Maybe. Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
But like, I'm like, dude, if a Disney bought them up, I could see that actually being somewhat of a
I mean, in
fit.
my mind, I go to
Amazon.
I go to PlayStation. I'm like, if PlayStation were to buy that and like take the properties and treat it like a PlayStation third party, first party studio, like that's some really good properties if you take some time with it. But yeah, I think it's more likely to be a Tencent.
Let's talk about story number 3. David Hayter is back. He put up a tweeted out last night. I was in the booth today playing a role I've not played since ... And then he put up a tweet hours and hours later replying to it with just a gif of Snake from I think this is the Metal Gear Delta version of Snake. Thanks for bringing it up, Barrett. I forgot to put the link in there in the doc.
Bro, we understood. You didn't need to reply to yourself. We got it.
Yeah, he's like,
he saw this tweet and he was like, no, this is people think it's that.
That's like when a rapper like spits a bar and then the next bar is like just explaining the previous bar.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like we got
it, homie.
We got it. We explained it. What do you think he means by this? Do you think he's just meaning like, oh, I came back and did VO for Metal Gear Delta, or do you think he's coming back to Snake in a bigger way?
I smell something wrong here. You know what I mean? Like him tweeting this and then doing that. It has to be either a smaller thing or something. Or this. You know what this feels like to me?
What's that?
I had the thought. It's not true, but like this feels like a Super Bowl ad. like when when celebrities start doing the thing where they're like, oh, I'm doing this thing, and it's like, oh shit, and it's just a Super Bowl ad. Like that's kind of what this feels like. I know it's not actually that, but it feels like this is going to disappoint a lot of people. Like I don't think he's actually back for a new game or anything like that. So.
You think he's back for a commercial? Like it's a commercial for Metal Gear Delta.
It's probably a trailer, maybe with new VO. Because chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure for the remake, it's just them using the audio from the original.
Yeah, that's
game.
what I assumed. Also,
that's just like they're just slightly enhancing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what new thing he would be recording for.
What if
post-credit scene?
Post-credit.
Was there already one in that game though?
Yes, 1000%. Yes. I think that was a post-credit scene. Yeah, I don't want to spoil Metal Gear Solid 3 because I guess we're getting a remake, so I shouldn't spoil it. But yeah, there's a post-credit. I feel there's an ending, I should say. But yeah, I mean, I think they could add more content.
Sure, I just don't think that's what they're
one more
going
scene.
For. It seems like from everything I'm seeing, it seems like they're being very faithful to a fault for this game, and that's good for a lot of fans. But I think some people were like, "Oh man, I wish that they added on to this." Like if you go scene by scene, like they have the right cuts, like the right moments. Like I don't think they would ever add anything to this one specifically.
Yeah. Here's the thing, because you talked about this with Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
You're remaking Silent Hill 2 before Silent Hill 1, right? And then you play and you're like, okay, this makes sense. I understand. This is so singular and special of a game. I understand why you do Silent Hill 2. Metal Gear Solid 3, I think you could say a similar thing of, oh, you're remaking the third game, but it's a prequel.
Yeah.
It's a really good standalone story. Yada yada yada. At the same time, there is part of me that is like, if you're reintroducing the Metal Gear Solid franchise to the world, I still do think it's interesting to remake 3 first. Because I do think 3 is more appreciated if you played the Metal Gear Solids before it. And yeah, like not out of context, but I guess like almost out of nowhere, Metal Gear Solid 3 remake in 2024, probably coming out in 2025. But like, there's something about it where I am like, all right, but how are we going to frame this in relation to the rest of the franchise?
Oh,
are there
interesting.
Going to be is there going to be a like almost a lead-in into
previously in Metal Gear?
Yeah, and not even that. More so, I guess like there are things to come, like sort of energy, right? Hey. There's more to the story that we're going to give you in Metal Gear Solid. I don't know what you call Metal Gear Solid 1 at this point if you're going to remake it. But I wonder if there's going to be a scene like that.
But I'm so confused by this tweet because, actors can't do this, right? Like if you're in the booth for something, you have embargoes. You can't go out there and be teasing things. That's why I'm like, something's up here. Unless they looked at him and said, you can tease it, I guess.
That, or I mean, unless you're David Hayter, and it is like
Yeah.
it is Solid Snake.
Yeah, but it's like
Solid Snake.
I would
you know
be
what I
so
mean?
pissed off if I called David Hayter. I'm like, hey, bro, you're coming back. Here's the check. Here's the contract. And then you just see on Twitter, he tweets it, and then 12 hours later, he tweets a GIF of exactly what it is. I'm like, bro, you didn't even like tease it. You just put the GIF.
That is true. You're right about that.
So I think
yeah.
there's something up here.
You're
I
right
think,
about
maybe
that.
it's a fan thing. Maybe it's something small. Like I don't think it is an actual official Metal Gear Solid thing. But it's cool to get excited about it.
Yeah.
A GIF. Yes, I said GIF. Because I don't say GIF because then you think I'm talking
Don't
about
let them get in your head. They're getting in your head.
No one thinks you're talking
People
about
think
gifts.
every time I'm like, hey, you see this GIF, and they're like, oh, a gift for me? You know what I mean? Like they do that.
Yeah, but then
Well, you
I
just said GIF though.
Well, I'm so deep into it.
He's
you know?
deep into it,
I'm so
all right?
deep.
You
But
gotta
if I
follow-
say GIF, you get what I'm saying.
when you say GIF, I think you're talking about peanut butter though.
yeah.
Because
Makes
just
you
now
hungry.
I'm like he posted
Or
peanut
you're
butter.
being like,
Get
or
it
it's
together,
slang for I'm
Roger.
going to the Jiffy Lube, you know? The GIF.
Oh, the
I
GIF.
don't like it. I don't like it.
Get some lube at the GIF.
Okay, I don't like how that sentence came
You're
together.
making the case like worse for yourself, Roger.
He tweeted a GIF.
My prediction commercial for Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Oh, okay.
I think it's that simple.
You think he's dressed up?
I think he's like giving some monologue as Snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Story number 4. Mario plus Rabbids lead and Red Dead Redemption lead designer form a new studio. This is Chris Scullion at Video Games Chronicle. Mario plus Rabbids director David Soliani has founded a new studio, Day 4 Night, along with other former leaders of Ubisoft Milan. Soliani is joined by co-founders Christian Cantamessa, who was a writer and lead designer on Red Dead Redemption, and Mario and Rabbids producers Christina Nava and Gianmarco Zana, plus Rabbids designer Luca Breda. The group have secured their first round of financing from publisher Krafton, plus Xbox co-creator Ed Freeze, One Up Ventures. Soliani and Cantamessa will now co-direct a game based on a new IP, which Freeze described as, quote, easily the most creative thing we have seen in quite some time, end quote. In a statement, the new studio said it was committed to creating new content that pushes the boundaries of storytelling and game design. Cool. Yeah. This is one that I almost put this in Wii News, but the thing that like did jump out at me was the fact that it's David. I forgot. I didn't forget because it literally just happened not that long ago, but David Soliani, you know, he was, if you've forgotten or if you're unfamiliar, when Mario and Rabbids was first announced at Ubisoft, he was the dude that was like emotional, right? He's the director that was like very excited to be working on this game, and he kind of went a bit viral there. And he's the guy that's like leading the studio. So I think that's exciting because I think a lot of people see David and, you know, like him for that, like him for his passion, like him for like, you know, especially in that moment. But I think that is cool. And then also the fact, just the headline of like Mario plus Rabbids lead and Red Dead Redemption 2 lead are forming a new studio. I'm like,
What is this game?
What the fuck is that video game gonna be? What are you making?
I think what it is like you're gonna get the vibes, the story, the world of a Red Dead, but then all of the characters inside are gonna be goofy little furry creatures.
Think
about it.
I know this isn't how this works.
Think about it.
But I just want, give me a dual protagonist situation. That is Arthur Morgan and Rabid Peach.
Oh,
You know,
I like
you
that.
see them both on the cover.
I
he can
like
be
that.
cradling her like a baby.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
a new
And then they
IP
slowly
technically.
fall in love.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah. You know what? Yes. I'm with you, Barrett.
It's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com. Story number 5. Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
We're going to talk about Until Dawn spoilers. Specifically, Until Dawn remake spoilers. All right. Now, this is the last news story before Wii News, I believe. Yes, it is. So if you're a video watcher and you don't want any spoilers for the Until Dawn remake, I would say mute until you see the Wii News background.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
That's a great call.
Audio listeners, I usually fight for y'all. I don't know. Well, we have time codes, I guess.
Yeah, you have time codes. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. But there are Until Dawn remake spoilers. The game just came out, so I'm giving y'all a second. I'm pulling from VGC. Until Dawn remake ending teases a potential sequel. This is Jordan Midler at Video Games Chronicle. Again, I'm going to pause for one more second because if you heard that headline and realized like, oh man, all right, these are remake spoilers, here's another second to mute.
No one can be mad at you now.
Don't get mad at me. All right, I'm going in.
No, you're doing it too quickly.
The newly released Until Dawn remake may be teasing a follow-up. The remake, which was released on Friday, contains 2 new ending cutscenes that may point to a future for the series. Spoilers for the new ending follow. I swear to God, don't get mad at me. I'm gonna be so pissed at you guys.
Oh my God, I didn't hit the mute button yet. Hold on.
The remake of the game now features 2 new ending cutscenes. The first of which features Josh, who was originally played by Rami Malek. Did I say that right? Rami Malek?
Yeah, Malek.
Rami Malek.
That's what I say.
While Josh faces a grisly fate in the original game, this new ending reveals that Josh survived his original fate.
Oh.
This scene, and I'm spoiling it for Roger. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Roger.
no, it's okay.
The scene focuses on Josh as a voiceover from another character, hints that Josh may find some redemption. The second scene features Sam, the game's main character, who was originally played by Hayden Panettiere. The scene starts years after the ending of the original game, with Sam in bed. As she wakes, she notices blood pouring from a wound, which she is unable to stop. A voice is heard calling her name as the scene ends. It would appear that Hayden Panettiere, am I pronouncing her name right? Panettiere, thank you.
Yeah.
Returned to work on the scene as the actress appears in new interviews about the project as part of the remake. Roger.
Yeah.
New scenes pointing to more. What do you think? Do you think we're getting Until Dawn 2?
Yes, I think we are. We have the movie coming out. I saw, again, this is all leaks and rumors, right? I'm on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit. I saw people trying to connect the dots about maybe Fire Sprite making that game, right? Because it seems like that might be what they're going for. So I totally think that this is happening. I think, why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. I'm just laughing because people are correcting me. Hayden Panettiere.
Oh, I'd say Thierry. Well,
we tried our best.
She's not here.
Sorry,
so.
If she's listening, she's like, fuck you guys.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Hayden.
I loved Heroes. I loved the first season of Heroes.
Until Dawn 1.
Yeah, no, it's I think we're getting one. It's about time. I don't know if a sequel is the right move. That's my biggest thing. I know the reason why they're now it makes more sense why they're re-releasing it, right? They're like, hey, we want people to play this one and then go into the sequel. I think it's too. I wish they just did Until Dawn 2 and then it was just a new group of characters and then maybe you have the background. I hope that's what this is.
My one thing with that is, what's the difference between that and the Quarry?
I know. Yeah.
It's a weird thing where I'm like, I think they've established, especially with the Dark Picture stuff now, that they can make a bunch of standalone stories and people get it for the most part. I feel like if we're going to make an Until Dawn 2 and you make it a different cast of characters, then I feel like you aren't taking advantage of like calling something Until Dawn 2.
Yeah. I do hope that there is, legacy characters coming into it at the very least. Like I want Hayden, whatever the last name is, and and Rami Malek to come through and the homie from what's his face?
From Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Oh man.
Fuck
yeah,
brother.
Oh,
fuck
dude.
Yeah, bro. I felt like we're going mainstream in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's in the secondary show, but he's in my game.
You want some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spoilers from season 1?
Fuck.
That man has a turn. Agent Ward? That's my fucking guy right there, dude.
Let's go. So I hope they all come back for it. And I hope it's like in the future, right?
Brett
like
Dalton is his name.
Yeah, I hope. It's interesting. I wonder if the sequel brings back the choices you made from the original game, or if you
Could you imagine? I guess.
Yeah.
Since they've been doing the remake,
and
that
it's also
makes more
PS4,
sense.
right? It's not that bad.
Dude, if
if
it could read my 2015 save. Now, here's the thing. Ask me who lived and who died in that save right now. No idea.
I don't know.
No idea. That final segment in that game fucked me.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back and redo it. So I was just like, all right, cool. Just most of y'all are dead now, and I have no idea why.
Do you think they're making a Until Dawn 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1000%. Supermassive. I guess this isn't Supermassive, is it? But I guess maybe that's even because Supermassive made the first one.
Yeah.
They're not working on this one. That puts it in such an interesting place.
Who is working on this one?
I forget. It's a studio we know, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But I think as PlayStation, there's a love for Until Dawn. There was a fervor for Until Dawn. I think The Quarry captured a fraction of that. I don't think it captured it fully as far as like how much hype Until Dawn had when it came out. But I think PlayStation wants a piece of that pie. Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense to look at your studios and go, hey, does any of y'all want to work on another Until Dawn?
Ballistic Moon is the developer of the remake.
Interesting.
Is this their first game? Is Ballistic Moon one of those ones that like was a independently founded
games,
studio?
This is the only thing they've got.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder about the timing of it all, right? I mean, I Until Dawn was hot for a moment, and then it's become a cult classic, but it's like not really in the zeitgeist. People have a soft spot in their heart for it. I think with the movie, if that's good, hopefully it's good. With this, I could see that working out. I'm just a little skeptical of the timing of it. I wish that this happened 3 years after the original game, but hey. Until Dawn's back, everybody.
I kind of take back my original thing then, talking about like, you know, a new cast, new characters. Because I guess in my head I was thinking that Supermassive was working on it. Now that I'm thinking about the fact that it's not Supermassive.
Yeah.
Not that you would do a entirely new cast. But I think maybe you keep
You do like a legacy sequel thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this happened on the news, all this crazy shit, but then these kids are doing their own thing.
I
and
think
then-
it is their own Captain Words. But I do think, you see Hayden return as her character.
Yeah.
I think you keep like one or two characters.
Yeah, she lives there now.
And you get back. Who was the you know how all these games have the guy who's the
Oh,
storyteller?
shit. Yeah.
The guy, I believe the guy in Until Dawn was from like Prison Break. He was my guy from Prison Break. I'm pretty
Which
sure.
one? Was he the Frost guy or was he the Heat guy?
Chat,
You
let
know
me
exactly what I'm talking about, bro. From
Yeah,
Flash?
it was neither of them. You're talking about
What?
the main. Yeah, no, you're talking about the main characters from Prison Break. It was
That's all
not them.
That's all I care about.
Peter Stormare. Thank you,
Isn't
chat.
that crazy that they did that though? They're like, hey, we got the brothers from Prison Break. They're gonna be the hot one and the cold one.
What was that? Legends of Tomorrow?
Oh, and the Flash.
And the Flash. They start out as
But then
the
and the
Flash.
cold guy died. Spoilers.
What? No! Spoilers!
It was fucked up that they did that.
It was messed up
really
that they
fucked
did
up.
that.
Really fucked up.
Yeah. God, shout out to Prison Break. Prison Break, what a show that was doing big things. You know what I mean? But Roger, if I wanted something smaller, say the tiniest news I needed to know about, where would I go?
You'd go to our last story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about.
Welcome back. If you left because of spoilers, boom, we're here.
We're back, baby.
We're not talking about spoilers, and we're talking about spoilers.
We're not spoiling our.
Story number 6, we got Wii News. Windblown launches October 24th on Steam Early Access. The single-player demo launches October 14th. If you don't know what Windblown is, it's a game I'm really looking forward
Oh.
to. It's from Motion Twin, the devs of Dead Cells. It's their new like roguelite style game. Different like type of game than Dead Cells. It's more like top-down,
yes.
action. Really look forward to this one though. Very excited for it. Dragon Age: The Veilguard has gone gold. Power World is now available on PS5 in Japan.
Exciting.
Very
Ballsy
exciting.
move.
Especially in the midst of that
Lawsuit, yeah.
Fucked up.
Sulfur releases in Steam Early Access on October 28th.
Announced by us.
Announced by Kinda Funny, yeah.
Exciting stuff.
And then GG Recon is sadly coming to an end. This comes from a tweet from Lloyd Combs on Twitter, who tweeted, and this is the editor, gut-wrenching to say that GG Recon will be closing its doors in 2 weeks. After 13 months battling against Google, we've run out of runway. The whole team is incredible, and working with them has been one of the greatest joys of my life. GG Recon was another games media site. And so it was another situation where another one is biting the dust, sadly.
So sad.
Fuck Google. I'm just gonna say it.
I know. Them changes fucked up a lot of shit for a lot of websites.
Okay, so it's like the search algorithm.
Yeah,
that
It's
happens?
the
Fine.
search algorithm. It's the AI,
Yeah.
enhanced search shit that
Or
is
just
like
take shit.
absolutely fucking like smaller enthusiast sites, not just in games.
Yeah. It's changed
Fucking
the whole
disturbing.
the whole scenario, the whole media outlet scenario. That's it for Wii News. Landscape was the word I was looking for. Just change the media landscape. I can think of the word.
I do that a lot.
Not Wii News. Sorry, Super Chats. We're almost out of here.
It's a Friday.
We're almost out of
It's
here.
a freaking Friday.
It's a freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday.
Danny in the middle says, I'm a little behind on the stream, but Roger, you should play Observer, Bloober's best before Silent Hill 2.
Oh,
The atmosphere
okay.
gave me confidence in them.
Okay, I'll play that.
And then Nando writes in and says, have any of you played the new game Kill Knight? I've not even heard of Kill Knight.
Kill Knight?
Knight is in
Yeah.
a knight in armor. Not as in
No, I haven't.
we're gonna kill tonight. You know, it's not one of them ones.
Yeah.
It's not a night of killing.
Looks cool.
Yeah, I'm opening up the Steam thing. Kill Knight is an ultra responsive arcade and oh my god. This looks fucking awesome.
Oh, someone maybe on like Giant Bomb was talking about this
Holy shit.
recently. Yeah, this looks it's kind of like
a lot of red.
Holy shit.
So Kill Knight is an
like a shmup.
ultra responsive arcade inspired isometric action shooter. Condemned to eternal sufferance. Deep with the voids of an eldritch arena, you must wield an arsenal of devastating weaponry to obliterate swarms of otherworldly horrors and master the demon within.
This looks sick as fuck.
This looks fucking awesome. I mean, I'm gonna play it now. I appreciate you writing in about this,
Yeah,
Nando.
thank you.
Yeah, Greg, if you're listening, give me a code for Kill Knight.
Me too.
Same.
10% off. That's $13.49, 10% off right now. Yeah,
Let's go buy it.
I'm just gonna pick that shit up. That looks good. Now it's time for kindafunny.com/you're wrong, where you write in, let us know what we got wrong, as we got it wrong, so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the globe. Gary the Third says, roguelite Windblown got a release date of October 24th with a demo on Steam, October 14th. You look like an idiot.
You look like an asshole.
You look like an
fucked up.
idiot, Gary.
You fucked
the
up
Third.
on me.
Thank you for listening to our show and showing us support. Kebabs. Is this from yesterday? Maybe this is from yesterday. Maybe this is us looking like idiots. Because I'm pretty sure Kebabs wrote in with this yesterday at the soundtrack for Astrobot.
Yes.
Is available on Spotify. Gary the Third, I apologize. You wrote in yesterday with that.
You don't look like an idiot.
You don't look like an idiot. We look like idiots.
You still look like an asshole, though.
Whoa!
Dear Sixlet says Peter Stormare was also in Big Lebowski, and he also was one of the Count Vertigos on Arrow. Oh, he was in Arrow too. Yeah.
Who?
Peter Stormare, the guy. Were you not listening? The guy in Until Dawn who does the narration.
Oh, shit, he was.
Because the Flash had a lot of like fans working on it of Prison Break, very obviously, or somebody.
I don't know
worked
what
on
the
Prison
fuck
Break.
happened. Yeah,
They took the entire Prison Break cast and put it in the Flash and Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, Peter Stormare is like one of the, for Big Lebowski people, one of the nihilists who's going to chop off his balls.
Banner SN and Tundra. Wait, what did you just say, Barrett?
He's going to chop off the dude's balls.
That's fucked up.
Oh, in Big
Lebowski.
In Big Lebowski. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound like the Flash to me.
He's also been doing a bunch of ads for Call of Duty I've been seeing, so big stuff for him.
Lately?
Yeah.
I could have sworn he's
He
always
plays a
been
character
doing
called
ads.
The Replacer, something like that. I don't know.
Has
I
he-
just keep on seeing his face there. I'm like, oh, it's the guy.
If you told me that Peter Stormare has been doing ads for Call of Duty since like 2008, I
He
would
might
like,
be.
Yeah.
He actually might have been.
I'm pretty sure he's been in older Call of Duty ads.
That's sick.
Banner SN and Tundra Boy both mentioned that according to reports, Avatar, the video game, not the Last Airbender, Blue People Avatar by Ubisoft, 1.9 players they had estimated.
Players.
Yeah.
1.9?
Sorry, 1.9 million.
Oh, okay.
1.9
Yeah, that
million
includes Ubisoft Plus people.
sales for that one.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. $133 million in revenue.
That's not enough.
That's it. For you're wrong.
We did it.
We did it.
Perfect game.
We're
Perfect
real
show.
late in the show, so we're going to get out of here. But of course, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily on a Friday. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. Enjoy the GAMESCAST next, which is going to be our Diablo Vessel of Hatred review, and the stream after, which is going to be Zoochosis. But until next time, Game Daily.